All right, welcome back. Today in Zeepkist, I actually have the dev of the game with me. How's it going, Yannic?
Hello. Yeah, not bad. Just a chill Sunday.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, joining. So, it's very similar 1v1 format as always. This time we decided to do adventure levels only. So, we actually just jump in. This is the first one, Unique. This is actually a map I put on the playlist, but this was the one you want to start with. Just a slow, chill level. Get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Level 2 from the adventure mode. I mean, if your whole format is playing levels that people have made, then doing adventure levels kind of makes sense for me.
Yeah, it's not always levels people have made. I'm just showing the levels we selected if anyone cares right now. It's usually just kind of the most popular levels. Cornshot, Code Walt, Maki, like the people who make the most popular levels probably. We play a lot of theirs. But I usually tell people to select at least one of theirs, so that way kind of something to talk about playing their maps. Yeah, you had said initially to select 4 of mine and 4 of yours. I don't think you realize how difficult I make my maps. They aren't playable in 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, I always like seeing people's creations, you know, so...
I would say I have 1 or 2 good playable maps, and a few not playable maps.
Well, I mean, I say that I like seeing people's creations, but sometimes people create really, really, really difficult maps from like, this is not how I would do it, but yeah.
Yeah, what are your opinions on that? Like the challenge maps? I don't know if you know, Dragon is probably one of, might be the hardest. There's still a bounty.
Well, I mean, like, as a creator of a game with a level editor, as soon as you make a level editor, it's not your game anymore. Like, it's not up to you to decide what people do with it. So, if people like playing super difficult maps and they like enjoying creating those, then, I mean, who am I to say that it's not what you're supposed to do? Like, that's what people want to do. That's what they do.
Yeah, I see that. It's not... It's like, you're just kind of giving everyone the building blocks to make what they want.
Yeah, exactly. Like, personally, it's not for me, because I just get frustrated, and I'm like, well, what the hell with this? But, yeah, no, if people want to build crazy, stupid, difficult maps, more power to them. Yeah,
considering Dragon came out a few months ago, and there's still a cash prize for the next person to beat the map, I think not a lot of people, it's for them.
There's a cash prize to beat the map?
Yeah, it was 100 for the first finisher, which took a day or 2, and then 50 for second, and 30, I believe, is still available. I was the second one to do it, and it took me
insane.
15 hours to beat that map.
That's incredible.
It is crazy difficult. Yeah, there was a cash prize for JJ2 as well, my map. That is... I would say JJ2 is one of the hardest in the game as well, and I'm currently trying to validate JJ3, but I've been trying to validate that for a few weeks.
Oh my god. When I first validated level 24, I think it took me, I think, an hour or something like that, maybe half an hour, and I was like, oh my god, this is so difficult. It took me half an hour.
24 is difficult.
But like a couple of weeks, oh my god. That's more like just randomly hoping you get to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't put any like RNG or confusing. It's just ultra precise interwall rides, and like you can't be off the line at all, or you like speed checks everything.
Oh my god, I would play that for like 2 minutes and then be like, yeah, okay, next.
I think that's what most people do. We could, after this, hop into JJ2 and show you. The first checkpoint, I think, is 10 seconds in, and there were people the day I released it who played the map for an hour, and then were like, I finally made the first checkpoint.
I mean, if you want, we can swap one of the adventure levels with your JJ2 level.
We would never finish it.
Just for fun. I mean, now you've kind of hyped it up, so I kind of want to see what this is all about.
I want to get your reaction. We can hop over to it, but we would never finish it. It would probably take me, I don't know if I could finish it in an hour. And I made the map.
That's totally fine by me.
All right.
I just want to know what's up.
All right. What do you want for the next adventure? We'll do that at the end. What do you want for the next level?
Well, if we're talking difficult levels, let's go D10.
All right, I'm pretty sure I got the skip off in time. We'll see. T10. I don't know which one this one is.
It should be one with the sausages. Yeah, there we go. The freaking-dells.
All right. Oh, I remember this one. This one was not fun to do. I just remember getting drilled by those French fries.
So this, I think, is about as close as super difficult levels that I've created. Because this is not, it's not super related to racing in general. It's just surviving and hoping you don't bounce off.
Yeah, I feel like the X levels would probably be more difficult. I probably need a break there. XO2 isn't easy.
This level is kind of short, whereas the X levels are more, they're more very specific obstacles that you need to cross. And here's just, oh, well, go down, don't fall off, have fun.
Yep. Yeah, this is... That also is like part of when people make super difficult maps. Some people, I like to create shorter ones that are just ultra precise. Dragon, which Maki Mountain last collabed on, is 5.5 minutes and difficult the whole way.
5.5 minutes?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I just missed the finish.
That's literally insane, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the difficulty of like, no part of that is as hard as JJ2, but it's just not really making any mistakes for that long. Yeah,
because especially there's no like quick resets. Like if you die, you gotta restart all the way at the top.
Yep, that's the difficulty. There are people who like to do challenge maps. Like I know Spy Eye makes a bunch. There's a niche for it.
Well, it's a good thing I don't only make challenge maps for adventure mode. I feel like people would very quickly bounce off.
Yeah. I think adventure mode is a pretty good difficulty. There are a few, like I said, the X levels, level 24. I think a lot of the challenge from adventure maps comes when people want to get author time as well, not necessarily just getting a finish.
Yeah. I mean, now you mentioned that, it made me think of there's two ways to make tracks basically that I often see. It's either a track where there's one very specific line that you need to get, and otherwise you just crash and burn and you don't make it to the finish.
Yep.
And then the way I try to make my levels is I make a lot of lines very possible to achieve the level with, but only one is extremely fast.
Yeah.
Like my levels are more open-ended than some stuff I see on the workshop.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough to make a map that both like experienced players and new players can enjoy, because most of the time if newer players enjoy it, it's more boring, and if experienced players enjoy it, it's more challenging. But I think like the probably only real map I tried to actually make a fun, good map on was the Cup of the Day map, and I think I did that pretty well. But it's really tough to balance that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I more enjoy it when it's like easy to finish but really difficult to master. I feel like that adds more because then it's more like a puzzle of trying to figure out the best line instead of it being like a Dark Souls boss battle or something.
A no-hit run, which is basically what the maps we've been talking about are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I mentioned in my Cup of the Day map, I don't know if you've seen it all or have any opinions on like what there's some people doing community events and things like that. I've been running Cup of the Day once a week. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but those are a ton of fun. I'm not sure like your opinions.
I've seen 2 or 3 Cup of the Day videos. The thing about all of the community events that are happening is that it's so much stuff happening that I can't like pay attention to every single thing happening at the same time.
Yeah,
so
of course.
On one hand, I'm like a bit bummed out that I don't, that I can't pay attention to everything, but like it's starting to get impossible with what everyone's doing.
Yeah. I mean, you need to focus on making and improving the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like if that's why I'm so happy that I've got some moderators who like organize what's it called, the Zeepkist Super League and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because if I had to do that on my own, like I would have no bandwidth left to develop the game itself. Like it would just be completely overwhelming.
Yeah. What map would you like next? We might need to skip to it.
GO3. Let's pick GO3. Whatever.
Ooh, I like GO3. All right. Yeah, we'll skip to that. If GO3 is the one I'm thinking of, then it is my favorite map you've made. Let me.
I don't even. Oh, this is BO3.
Yeah, I did. We were already at the podium, and I can't go into host controls.
Oh, okay, right. right.
Maybe something to ask the developer about host controls during podium.
So that's the thing about being overwhelmed, is that you have so much stuff to do. No, I know. Like people often suggest, like, oh hey, can we have this? Oh hey, can we have that? Oh hey, can we have this? And I'm like, yeah, all of these are great ideas, but you know, I only have so much hours in a day, and I have priorities of stuff that I want to work on myself first.
Yeah, you have to like choose yourself what you want to prioritize and like what's even worth it. Like if something doesn't take you too long to make, then it might be easier to bump up.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is with things that are easy to make is that there's a couple of things that are pretty easy to make, but as soon as you bump all of those up, then it becomes months of work. And then all of the other stuff you're doing that does take longer is going to take even longer to finish. So,
and then you fall way behind.
Yeah, it's a very delicate balancing act. And like, I totally respect and understand everyone who's like, oh, hey, can we have this first? And I'm like, well, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I'm also working on this thing that's also extremely important. So,
yeah, it's like if you bump up 10 different things, well, now it's no longer a short little fix.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, well, because the game is in early access, there are so many things that need to be done, some of which are big, some of which are small. And yeah,
there's a lot of suggestions going around the community right now, which I mean, I would assume is great.
Oh yeah, of course, and a lot of them are very good as well. But it's such a balancing act. And another thing, that sometimes people suggest these things that sound really easy to do, where like, oh, this is such a small thing to add. But then if you go into the code and you're like, okay, how do I do this? It becomes a complete restructuring of systems that you have in place already. And I'm like, yeah, that's just either too much work or too much work for right now, and I'll do it later.
Yeah, I get that. Like, on the surface, some things can seem easy, but not necessarily are.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be the same way back, you know, when I was younger, and I was mostly just gaming and messaging devs, hey, can you do this? But nowadays I'm like, no, you you do whatever you feel is best, dude. I'm gonna keep my hands clear.
Yeah, I mean, being part of the Zeepkist community, it's pretty awesome having you as the dev who's like so engaged on the Discord and responding to people. Like that's pretty rare in a game, especially with one dev in early access.
Yeah, but I feel like it adds so much value.
Oh, for sure.
I've also been in communities where like the devs are these mythical creatures, and you're like, what are the gods going to bestow on us now? And I'm like, that's not, you know, that's not a great way to run your community, I feel. Yeah,
like just joining the game and having ideas, throwing it on the Discord and seeing the dev respond to it, like either whether you're able to do it or not, like just seeing the dev is responding is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, I can't respond to everyone's messages all of the time, etc. Because again, it's just too much workload. But yeah, I do enjoy being part of the community, just hanging out in the midst of it.
Yeah, of course. It definitely adds a lot to anyone kind of new to the community, and especially with it being early access, it kind of feels like the players have a bit of a say.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, new people joining, tell me that they bought the game because I was active in the community and because I joined those Cosmo Dapper videos and stuff like that, where people were like, oh my god, the developer actually cares. Yeah. And like, that's really nice to hear. Like, yeah, it almost becomes a marketing strategy of its own, just hanging out in the community.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It shows that you care about the game. That's probably the best way to put it. That like you're willing to spend your time playing with them. I mean, playing on this again, I appreciate that you came on here. Yeah,
like again, no problem. I mean, I'm just having a lazy Sunday. Might as well hang out.
hang out, play some Zeepkist. I'm not sure, we kind of didn't talk about this map at all. I'm not sure if you even knew about the inner wall ride that players found on it. That is probably where I saved 2 seconds.
The inner wall ride. Oh, where is that?
On this U-turn over the water after checkpoint 3, you can jump inside on the water there and do a wall ride.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, some people get really smart when they're thinking of routes. So
yeah, I mean that's always going to be the case. Every time I think, oh, there's enough checkpoints in this level, and then it's like, nope, here's another cheese we found. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
All right, we're gonna skip to it again. I don't know what you want for the next map.
Well, let's do BO3 then, because we just jumped into it.
BO3?
BO3.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what BO3 is. I'm not certain I've played BO3 before. I can't lie to you, I'm not the biggest adventure mode person.
Oh no.
I get my cosmetics and I go back to online. I want to see the win count go up.
That's funny. Yeah, this was, I think, the first or second update that I did to the game. It was like the construction update, which added all of these construction elements.
Yeah, it's nice. Let's see. I don't know. I'm not sure if I've played this map. I don't know.
I
if
really
there are
love
any
the aesthetic.
Yeah,
like the blue lights and the darkness and.
Yeah, the aesthetic is great. What people are able to do with the level editor, like back to what you gave them, is pretty insane aesthetic-wise. When you look at what they have and what they're able to do.
It's way more than I ever expected people to do, but yeah. It just goes to show you give people tools and they'll do whatever. Even if it's not intended to be done.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of people who have more hours in the editor than they do racing. Like, there's a lot of people who enjoy that more.
And it gets to the point where I've started, like, having to add these little updates specifically because people started doing stuff that wasn't intended to be done. Like, I recently changed the, like, the LOD logic very slightly for scaled blocks. So if a block is very big, that the LOD distance scales along with the size of the block.
Oh.
Because before it was a very big block, but the LOD was like, oh, it's a small block very far away, so let's LOD this block. And it would look bad.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I remember one of the Cosmo Condapper, I don't remember who it was, videos where that kind of came up. Yeah,
you see it every now and then, but like people, I never intended for blocks to be scaled, well, and not at this point in development yet anyway. So having the LOD take block scale into account was just not something that I ever thought about having to add. But then people started scaling blocks and I was like, oh well, yeah, okay.
Were people, how was that initially found? Were they just editing text files, just going in and changing the text file?
Well, I had intended for scaling to be possible at some point.
Yeah.
Just later on, like when I did like a big level editor update or something. But I had already put it in the save format. Because trees are slightly scaled when you plant them. Some trees are a bit bigger, some trees are a bit smaller. So scaling, like, it's just a native feature, but it only applied to trees, so it was never a big deal for the LOD system.
Okay.
But then people figured out, oh, you can open up text files and just change the scale of blocks. And then people started modding the game and making tools for it. And now here we are.
Yeah, some of the mods also are pretty impressive.
So it's a bit of like you have this original perfect idea for development, but then the community comes along and they start doing their own stuff, and you have to slightly shift your ideas and goals to fit what the community is doing. And I feel like that feedback is also fun and interesting.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has fun in their own way, and like the game is almost like the entire editor. Make your own maps, play your own map, like play your lobbies with your friends. It's like you're all doing whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a pretty strong believer in just letting players make their own fun, just decide what they want to do. You see it too often in these AAA games where it's all like, this is exactly how we want you to play the game, and if you try to do anything other than that, you don't do that. And I don't enjoy that. Like, where's the fun in that?
Yeah, you need to allow people the creativity. I mean, back to some of the maps people make, like, there are people who spend like dozens of hours on one map, and like you just don't have the time to be able to do that. So the things they are able to make is insane. I don't have time for another run. Are you on a run?
Yeah, I'm on a run, but I think my run is pretty good.
Yeah, I'll just photo mode you.
Yeah, you can pick a level now then, right? That's how it works?
Yep. What do I want? I'm not too sure. Looking at the list. So,
I hope we can keep track of the levels we've already done.
Yeah, I remember what ones we've played. It's generally a little easier to remember when it's different creators and names and not just numbers. Yeah. But
this is all just me.
Oh, you don't wanna. Okay, you've done a few things that I didn't notice in lines on this one.
Ah, very nice. Yeah. So I mean, as the creator of a map, it's often like you play the level so often that you start doing these optimizations automatically.
Right. We can play this one. I'm good with this.
Ooh, this is the oldest level in Zeepkist.
Really? This is the first level you ever made?
It's not the first level I ever made. It's one of the oldest. Like, there's older levels than this that I made before.
Oh, okay.
But this one, yeah, this is in the adventure mode, the oldest level.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't think I have any of the other levels. Like, at some point I changed the save format as well. So a bunch of the very ancient levels, they are saved in a format that, yeah, can't really be opened anymore without corrupting.
So we're gonna need people to go through and figure those out.
Yeah, I think Mumbo King has been doing that some bunch.
Huh, okay. Yeah,
like there's some of my old levels that have been converted, I think, but again, I don't keep track of everything. But yeah, this is a relic. This is ancient.
This is a good one. So you didn't make it in order. I guess you would have made 1 to 24 at the same time, I would assume, right?
Not really at the same time. I mean, I made a bunch of well, to test the level editor itself, you need to make levels. So I've always been making levels. And then when it came time to make the adventure mode, that was like a couple months before launch. I was like, I need some content. I need to have levels. So there were a bunch that I had already made, and then there were a bunch that I had to make specifically for the adventure mode of version 1.
Yep.
So it's not all at the same time. It's more of a mishmash of stuff that I made at some point during development and stuff that I made specifically for it. And you see the same thing with the G levels, because most of them were just workshop levels I made at some point during development.
Yeah.
And uploaded, and then they were kind of lost to the winds of time. Nobody really played them anymore. And I was like, well, for new players who don't know these levels, might as well just include them.
Yeah, I like those levels. They somehow feel different than like your standard adventure level. Like it does feel more like a workshop online level than like a standard adventure. I don't really know how to explain it more than that, but they have a different feel to them.
I think that feel comes down to most adventure levels are made under time pressure.
Oh,
and
okay.
I feel like that's definitely noticeable. It's like I have to come up with something, and I have to come up with X amount of levels, and I have to finish them before this date, etc. And that does rub off on levels. Whereas with the workshop levels, it's just like, I'm bored today. I'm going to spend 4 hours creating a level, and I don't care.
Gotcha.
And you get different levels by having different processes.
Yeah, for sure. I think it also would hurt creativity a little if you're like, I need to get a level out.
It does, yeah.
How do you do you spend any time on your authors? Like, how do you determine what you want the author time to be? Like, I know you drive all of them, but do you go for anything or grind them out?
I usually know what the best line is supposed to be, or at least the best line that doesn't involve any cheeses.
Yep.
Because you drive the level a lot and you try it a lot.
Yeah.
So
testing.
I know exactly what corners to hit where. And then what I do is I just do a couple runs until I get a perfect run on the line that I envisioned. And then I'm good. Like, I don't spend hours validating it. It's just if I validate it and I don't get the line perfectly, I'm like, okay, well, let's try this again. But that usually takes like, what, 15 minutes or so?
Okay, yeah, I think that's probably about what I do for my authors, is make it reasonable, but not spending a crazy amount of time on it.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that's really interesting to me is that the adventure mode as it is right now, it's unfinished. Like, it's a complete placeholder for what it's eventually planned to be.
Oh yeah, aren't you like redoing everything pretty much?
Yeah, I'm planning to turn it into like a semi-story mode kind of deal, where there's like NPCs on a world map and you talk to them and there's more small missions to do. And the levels are all scattered in groups of different sorts of challenges, stuff like that. It's all a bit nebulous. Like, I'm not extremely... I don't have an exact thing pinned down yet. But there's all of these ideas that I want to do with it that are more interesting than just, here's a flat plane of grass and some levels, have fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of new players get fun trying to beat the author times. Like, that's kind of a staple in racing games, is author times.
Yeah, exactly. I just, for the full release, which, I mean, it might be a couple of years down still, I want to have like an actual proper single player adventure that feels like any other game. Because now it's a map and there's some levels and it's have fun and it's fine mostly, but it's still a bit empty. It doesn't have the character that I wanted to have.
Yeah, I think we, as the community, would pretty much all rather you work and work until you're happy with it than release something that you aren't fully satisfied with.
Yeah,
However
exactly.
long
And
it takes.
there's so many ideas for updates that I still have, so yeah.
Yeah, at what point do you think you're gonna say, all right, it's no longer early release? I feel like there's always gonna be suggestions, always gonna be questions. Like, it's gonna be tough to find that line.
So, full adventure mode, the real adventure mode, let's call it that, that's gonna be the full release out of early access.
Okay.
And after that point, I'm absolutely certain there's still going to be updates with maybe more content, maybe a bit of features, stuff like that. But I do have kind of an idea in my head of all of the features that I want to have before calling it finished.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And you kind of have an idea of what that is.
Yeah, I want to do, well, first of all, the sound update, because right now the lack of sound is really apparent.
Yeah, yeah. I think experienced players are all used to it, and we like hearing the whooshes. But I understand you want sound for the new guys.
There's got to be more stuff to it. But as soon as I have the sound update done, I intend to bump up the price a bit, because really sound is all that's lacking in my mind to ask a bit more money for it. Like the 10 euros is fine as it is right now, but as soon as you add sound, then the game, I think, feels a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, the community's tried to tell you before, but we would be buying pretty much any DLC you put out just to support the game.
Yeah, I know. It's just, you can't ask for DLC when the game is still in early access. Like, there's one DLC up right now, which is fine, but any more right now is really pushing it.
I would buy a blue checkmark DLC in a heartbeat.
You see it very often on Twitter where there's like, oh my god, these greedy devs are early access and they have so much DLC. And often, I mean, I kind of agree that it is kind of shady. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I want to add more DLC, but mostly it's going to be post-launch, I feel, just to avoid people getting the wrong idea.
Yeah, I think it is something to balance. Like, the community wants to support and help this game, but yeah, you need to kind of maintain the image of it. You need to be the voice of reason.
Exactly, yeah. There's so much to balance when you're making a game. But to come back to the list of things. So I want to do a sound update.
Yep.
Then I want to do a replay update where the game saves replays, and you can look at replays, and you can
That'll be fantastic. Very
get the files and upload them somewhere.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's going to be like first party sharing or if it's going to be community driven. Mostly because I just don't have the capacity to do a lot of online stuff. But I do want to like just have an official replay system with official replay files and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Then I want to update the level editor a whole bunch. Like there's been a whole bunch of suggestions by people, and there's some stuff that I want to do myself. I want to update the save format to have more special blocks allowed. I want to add a bit more tools. I want to add grouping models. I want to maybe add uploading models to the workshop, like as a package. You've currently got this blueprint mod, I think it is, like something like that, but official. Yeah,
blueprint mod is a thing. It's just basically you can upload models other people have made.
Yeah, exactly. I think the workshop would work for that. I just need to like make it something official in the level editor.
All right, so are you ready for JJ2?
Oh, yeah, let's go. Oh, did you win already?
Yeah, I believe that was 4.
Oh my god.
Level 2. Well, it goes
congratulations.
fast. It goes fast.
Yeah, it does. It does. All right, so let's see what this is. Oh, I'm already losing.
Yeah, so that is a forced inner wall ride. If you break, you won't make the speed check, and you can't make the turn without inner wall
insane.
Rides. Yeah.
I'm frustrated already.
Yeah, that's about how this map goes for people.
That's awesome.
I do make the start harder than, like, it should progressively get slightly, the end is still difficult, but it gets slightly easier progressively. The end is still more difficult than a normal level should be.
This is just pain for the sake of it.
Yeah, I always like challenges in games. When I get a new game, I'm usually looking for the hardest challenge to beat. And
I like how the fences are, like, on one side the planks are on this side, and on the other side the planks are on the other side.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest level editor person. If I made a mistake like that, it was not noticing. I definitely just copy pasted all the way down.
I see the details.
I'm not a decorations person. I throw down 1,000 trees and call it a day on every one of my maps.
I mean, it works. It works.
Yeah. Some people prefer decorating over map making, so I need to collab with them.
Oh yeah, you see that a lot in I think Trackmania as well, where just one person makes the level and the other makes a decoration for the level.
Yeah, yeah. There's quite a few maps like that in this game, and it usually works pretty well. Like some people like decorating, some people don't. Some people like making the maps, or like the track. So it works out.
Yeah. Well, I do want to continue my list of stuff that I've got planned though before we finish this.
Go for it.
We are just getting into it. I want to add water, but I'm not sure how yet. That's a very difficult shader challenge mostly. And if I can't get the shader to work, then I'm just gonna make it look ugly and still have it function like water.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've talked about it in the Q&A, the difficulty of like how water interacts with other water versus interacts with non-water blocks.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna try and get a shader done, and otherwise I'm just gonna make it opaque and not transparent or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
And then I still want to add a lot of track features, like more blocks, more types of blocks, more interactivity. I want to add, like, what do you call it, like a wing glide mechanic.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Stuff like that. More cosmetic possibilities I'm planning as well.
Okay.
Like, for instance, right now you have one color for your character. I think it would be fun if you could paint your limbs and your body individually, stuff like that.
Have the rainbow shader as a unlock.
That would be insane. But yeah,
be cool.
stuff like that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Any like potential game modes, like maybe instead of joining a lobby that's all individual, have like you join and you're put on a like red or blue team, and your points at the end are totaled up as like a team.
That's really difficult. Like I can do a lot of things pretty decently, but online development is completely outside of my wheelhouse.
Gotcha.
And for a while we had Sadie working. I had Sadie working for me, who totally overhauled the online multiplayer and allowed 46 players, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of understand how to add stuff to that. Like I can make new types of packets or stuff like that. But whole new game modes, that sounds like an insane amount of work to me, where I wouldn't even know where to start without breaking anything.
Outside your expertise.
Yeah, exactly. So unless I get another network programmer, like if I have the money for that, even that sort of stuff, I can't promise very extensive networking upgrades.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. That comes with having one developer work on a game. Nobody's going to be an expert in everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ideally, I would have a very big team working for me, of course, and we would have the game done in half a year, but yeah.
More DLCs.
Yeah, more DLCs. But yeah, it's just, like you said, the reality of a solo developer.
Yeah. Anything else on the list to go through?
Nothing concrete I can think of right now.
All right.
Like it's just sound update, replay update, level editor update, bunch more blocks, bunch more cosmetics, then the full adventure mode, and I feel like that's about it.
Sweet.
I mean, I say it like it's not a lot, but that's still
you just
a lot
named a
of months of
massive
work.
list, and you're like, that's all I have to do.
That's all, and then it's done. Yeah, and of course I'm also working on Zeepkist 2D, the little minigame stuff on the side.
Yeah,
so
a passion project, it seems.
Yeah, like there's some sort of marketing idea behind it, because if you can get that on those online game sites, I don't know how you call those.
Yeah,
there's
I know
a possibility
for
cross-pollination.
Okay, find new players that way.
Yeah, if people play Zeepkist 2D on there, they might start thinking, oh, I wonder what Zeepkist 3D is. And stuff like that. And of course, it might be a nice bit of extra income to aid in development.
Yeah, I mean, anything that would help.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we pretty much covered it. We got a bonus level and a little more. Again, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. And
yeah, no, I like doing this.
And anyone watching who's made it this far, if you don't have the game, make sure to go get it and check it out. It's a lot of fun. Again, the dev is awesome. He joins lobbies and plays with us.
Yeah, I would suggest buying Zeepkist. It's a lot of fun indeed.
Yeah, buy Zeepkist. All right, thanks again. I'll see everyone next one.
Yeah, super welcome. Goodbye.